Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It is Tuesday here in Maui. It is 11:01, and that's where Jessica and I are residing right now. Where I'm waving to you, Jessica. You're over there.
Oh,
So this is my dear friend Jessica. I'm so happy to have her on. When I met Jessica, gosh, I guess it was 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. We instantly connected, and she told me that she was doing the Institute of Eating Psychology, Psychology of Eating, and we were both like, "Oh, we have so much to talk about, right?" And just this place of meeting and understanding that food and our relationship with food is such a big and huge topic for so many people, and to meet someone um, in a woman's gathering of our dear friend who was getting married and have this deep connection in knowing that the food that was being served here was more than just was a deeper sense of nourishment. So there was that instant connection, and I knew that you understood and that you had so much knowledge just in the way that you were preparing and the way that you were taking care of everyone and your beautiful chai tea. Like everything was just so presented, and it wasn't even just the presentation, it was just the care and concern. So it was no surprise to me when I talked to Jessica and said, I want you to come in and talk, and your topic that we're talking about today is really about not what we're eating but how we're eating. And we've had other people come in and kind of share around this topic, because I think it's so important that peace with food is really from this place of connection to it. So I'm so excited to learn and so excited to hear your story. For those who are here live, if you are here live, go ahead and put your name in the chat. And if you have any questions as we go along, go ahead and feel free to put them in. I will look every once in a while and check if we miss something, I'll make sure Jessica gets those questions, but I'm sure we'll get to them. So welcome.
thank you, Marla. Thank you so much for having me here. It feels really exciting. I felt the same way when I met you. It's so nice when you meet a kindred spirit on this journey. And so many of us, women and men, but especially I think we can connect with each other in the fact that we are living in a time and age where we have so much nutritional overload, and there's just so much of what's the right thing to eat, and when do I eat it, and do I eat more of this and less of that, and it can get very, very overwhelming. And what I'm excited to share with you today and our listeners is it doesn't have to be so complicated, and we can bring some more focus to our own intuitive side, and also something that feels, when we're eating in this relaxed way, which we'll talk about, it translates to our whole life feeling that way. So our relationship with food is so much about our relationship with life. And it's such a great place to start if we're looking to just really live our best life and support that. So I'm really thrilled to get to have a little bit of time today with you and to get to chat about these sort of things.
Yes, me too. Beautiful. You said so many things that I want to dive right into, but I think what I'm going to do is to start is to read Jessica's bio, so that you all know what she's all about. She is an eating psychology coach and graduate of the Institute of Psychology of Eating. Jessica has an integrative approach to supporting you and feeling your best with strategies to harness energy, feed your body, manage your emotions, and cultivate an empowered mindset. We all want that. Through group workshops, one-on-one coaching, she guides clients in that journey using doable, sustainable methods. Whether you're looking to upgrade your daily habits, boost energy, increase metabolism, help digestion, shift your mental outlook, lose weight, lower stress, and so much more, this is the time to empower yourself and achieve your greatest potential. She is an eating psychology coach, massage therapist, amazing, yoga instructor, and essential oils educator. Years of rigorous training and study in alternative modalities in America, Europe, Asia, and India. Jessica integrates ancient Eastern and Western philosophies to create a unique approach to living a vibrant life. Be your best self, live your best life. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. Thank you, Jessica. And I guess what I would like to start with is, how did you get on this journey? Why are you here?
You know, I grew up in a pretty health conscious family. I always remember, like, we were never allowed to buy the normal peanut butters. We made our own peanut butter before you could do that at the grocery store. And, you know, my mom would go to the natural health food store and we should make our own jam. And so I think I was really imprinted at a very young age with the importance of really eating good, wholesome foods. And so it's always been a focus of mine, you know, but of course, growing up in the 80s, you know, the idea of nutrition and what to eat was still a little bit confusing. I just understood that, like, there was choices that we could make that would support our body to help us feel better. And so it's just something that's always been there for me. And I've always been curious, and I've always wondered, gosh, like, is this better or is this better? And, you know, you come out with the marketing, right, of the latest things in the grocery store, and you're like, oh, is this something I can believe? Is this something I can trust? And, you know, as we evolve and more information comes out, I just found myself always so curious. And in college, I studied psychology because I love understanding our behaviors and the mind and the choices that we make. And so as I kind of kept going on the path, and I was traveling through Europe and Asia, and, you know, as the bio was sharing, I was starting to learn these different modalities of supporting our body in these other ways, like through meditation and breath work. And so when I came to this point in my life where I wanted to integrate all this stuff for the body, but also how we can eat and be healthy. And so when I found the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, it was like this incredible bridge between these two things, because sometimes we separate the food and how we're feeling. And actually, what feels so much more integrative is putting the two together. And so I love food. You know, we need food, unless we're vegetarians, to really fuel our body to feel good. So why not have a beautiful relationship with it? And I love that we can extract pleasure, which we're going to talk about. You know, why not have pleasure in everything in life, and especially with what we're eating, and help that support our system in really being optimal in whatever we're doing.
So let's jump in with the pleasure. It's
All
such
right.
an interesting experience to have pleasure with food when food is so daunting and scary and uncomfortable, and it brings so much pain, right? So the idea of pleasure that I can remember when I was struggling was when I just let complete go of control, and it was like the fuck it's, right? And so then it was like this, it wasn't really pleasure, it was more rebellion. And it was the pleasure that came from the rebellion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've since shifted that and changed that. But I still think it's fun to be like, yeah, it's good. Yeah. Right. There's something really good about that, you know, like to go against what culture says or whatever, and just really listen to what our body wants and enjoy. What would you say could be some first steps for people who are in the pain of food to actually lean into pleasure? Like, actually, like, well, how the heck do I do that? Because it doesn't feel good. Like, what would be something that you could offer to someone who's in that place?
Great question. And, you know, I first want to just say that the part of the reason there's this push-pull with pleasure is because at a very young age, you know, it's good that we're eating. You know, that our families are like, good, you need to eat, you need to live, right? But then what happens through life is that then we see that food is also can be considered bad. And so we're getting this mixed message where we're like, we need to eat, but wait, if you eat too much, or if you eat that food, that might make you, not feel good. That might make you overweight. That might make you all the negative connotations with eating. So I think the first thing I just wanted to share is to recognize there is this confusion around food and pleasure. And if we can, first of all, recognize like, okay, we all need food to survive. And food pleasure, which is amazing, it actually catalyzes the relaxation response. So we often will eat to get pleasure, and that will help relax our system, but we can create the relaxation response and receive the pleasure. And that's a whole other thing. So to answer your question, I just wanted to give a little background, is one very simple way to extract pleasure really from anything, but especially food, is to be able to slow down and take in all of the goodies with it, the aroma, the taste, the texture, bringing that awareness to whatever you're taking a bite. So let's say, what's something you love to eat, Marla, that gives you so much pleasure?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. All right. You're speaking my language here. I'm wearing a chocolate covered shirt. So when I bring that awareness, and how can we eat chocolate with pleasure? Okay. So the first thing you can do, and you can do this with anything, right? But especially something you really love, is you take that and you, first of all, give it a good sniff. Take a look at it. Like, really take in this amazing delicacy that you're about to just soothe your body with, right? And then when you take that bite, tap in to all the little sensations that are going on in your mouth. The flavor. Sometimes I like to stop myself from even chewing it and just letting it like sink into my tongue. And I feel like I can taste it even more. And of course it makes it linger. And you can make that one bite, which could take 3 seconds to chew and swallow, and turn it into a 10-second food orgasm.
Right. Exactly. And I think one of the reasons we don't allow ourselves is that programming of this is bad. So we need to hurry up and get it in. So my mind doesn't tell me not to eat it. Right. So,
Yes.
what I'm feeling and hearing from some of you that are listening is like, well, how the heck is this going to help me? I do enjoy my food. I allow myself to enjoy my food. Is this going to give me more control? Is this going to give me more peace? Like, what's the point in doing this? Am I going to lose weight if I'm enjoying my food? Like what are the benefits other than the pleasure? Like, yes, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. So what am I getting from this?
Fantastic question. Thank you. So what you're actually getting is when your body is in that, when you start taking that pleasure, you start slowing down, relaxing, breathing into it. What that's going to do is it's going to catalyze the body to go into a relaxation response. And that is what we want, because when our body is in that place, guess what happens? Our digestive system is working in a much more optimal way. We are, instead of going into fight or flight, if we're eating fast, for example, where the blood is going away from the digestion, your body is not going to digest the food in that place. So in the relaxation response, everything is going to start working optimally. You're going to actually absorb that food, digest, assimilate it in a way that you wouldn't be able to if you're in this more stress state or fast eater state. So when we talk about the benefits, it can help with the metabolism. It can help with your energy. It's like, and your body is going to also give you that cue, like, hey, I'm actually satisfied. Your likelihood of having a craving or overeating or eating when you know you really don't need to eat anymore, you're going to get that signal in your brain. And so everything is starting to operate in a much more harmonious way for the system. So for people who are looking for more energy, who are looking just to not be gaining weight just from looking at food, this is the way.
One of the things that I noticed is that what I used to do is towards the end of a meal, when I was getting full, I would speed up. I would speed up because I didn't want my body telling me that I was full. So I'd speed up, which was interesting. I'm like, wow, that's an interesting pattern that I'm doing. So I think the awareness, and I'd love for you to talk more about awareness, but the awareness for me, it's like, oh, so why, like, why do I feel like I have to eat that food? And can I pause? Sometimes when I pause and let myself enjoy it, then I actually do have space for it and I'm not shoving it in. I just needed a moment to digest. Right. So I think from this place of pleasure and this place of allowing the body to actually be a part of it, there we get so much more awareness on what it is actually, what our body wants and what our body needs. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. And I really relate to a lot of what you said because I used to eat a lot faster, especially when I was in like social settings and potlucks and things like that. And I wasn't listening to my body. And when we are in that place that you're talking about, we start eating fast because you can't, you don't want to listen, you don't want to hear the body say, hey, no more food. But what I found really fascinating as my own personal experiment is that when I started to slow down and tune in, it was like I could enjoy the food even more. And I wasn't, I could hear what my body was saying too, so that I always felt much more comfortable with how much I was eating, what my belly was saying. So I think it's it's a great example of the eating fast as an intentional way to not hear what your body is communicating. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing when we do slow down and we're in that relaxation response that the body will communicate with you. It'll be like, excuse me, you're good right now. And if you're eating that slower state and you're enjoying it, you don't even mind because you feel so satiated. You're not only satiated in your belly, but you're satiated up here. Because you probably had that experience where if you're eating kind of unconsciously, your belly feels full, but your mouth is still hungry. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So you're kind of like, I've eaten enough, but I'm not getting what I need. And it's because the brain hasn't connected to the fact that you have just consumed this meal or this bowl of something. So it's such a great experiment that we can all do is say, let's just try this out and actually feel that level of satisfaction that you won't even want to be eating fast because you're feeling so like, I'm good.
Yeah. And I think it's a slow burn. Like for those who are fast eaters, myself included, one of the things that I've had to do over time is one meal a day. This is my slow down meal, right? Or this is my slow down bite even, right? Like to really make it in these small doable increments so that we're not feeling like, I mean, great. If you can turn that light switch on and just go into slow eating, but this isn't one more thing that you have to do that now you're going to beat yourself up for. Like, this is all about pleasure. So like, don't add this to your list to beat yourself up. That's not what we're doing here. We're giving you options to actually hear and listen and get in tune so you can actually love on yourself more around food.
Absolutely. And just to carry on with what you're sharing is there's times when I don't have a lot of time to eat. I'm, between sessions and things like that. And one of the simplest things, if I can impart to our audience, that even if you are feeling a little stressed, even if you are having, anxiety or worry or anything going on, you can still trick the body, which I think this is amazing.
Oh, give me this. Listen up.
Let's trick our body. Come on. We can trick our body into thinking that it's relaxed, even if it's not. And it's the most simple thing. It's the most important vitamin that we need, and that's not talked about enough, which is vitamin O, oxygen. And it's just doing a super simple breath while we're eating, before we're eating. So I might sit down, I'm like, I got 5 minutes, and that's not ideal, but I'm going to tell my body that I'm relaxed. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do a couple different breaths just to think the body is into that relaxation response, that parasympathetic. And I'm going to show you a super simple one that we can do any time of the day. I do it when I'm even running around as a way to relax my system. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I learned this in one of my breathwork classes, and it's basically you take a long inhale and then a quick short inhale, and then you do an ah as you exhale. So I'll do that right now. So ah, and I will do that a couple times. Ah, maybe everyone can try that and see if they can feel a difference in just how they feel. I'll do it before I'm going to bed at night. I'm doing if I want to just have a little breather. So you might still have a lot of things going on up here, but your blood, what's going to happen is your heartbeat's going to relax. Your blood pressure is going to go down. The body is going to say, oh, it's time to chill. Oh, I'm eating. Okay, I'm going to digest and assimilate that. So this is, to me, one of the best little biohacks that you can do to put your body in that relaxation response so that you can basically have everything doing what it needs to do when you're eating.
That's beautiful. That's great. I want to need more hacks from you. I want more hacks. One of the hacks that I'll do in this vein is I'll go, I'm eating. I'm eating. I'm eating now. I'm eating, right? And I'll just be like, I may be eating it while I'm, making Aspen food, my son, or doing something like, I'm eating right now. That's what's happening, body. I'm eating, right? And just zeroing in on that when there may be other things going on.
Well, and that's such a good point, because when we're multitasking, if we're whether we're doing that, whether we're watching a video, whether we're, on our phones or something, the brain says, oh, we're not eating. We're doing this. Digestive system, turn off. So I love what you said. Sometimes I have to do those same cues. I'm like, let me smell my food. Let me look at it. I'll try to do things to keep redirecting my focus so that my body knows I'm eating, or I'll be like, oh, let me just tune into my chewing, and let me bring some attention to what's going on in there. So we can try to keep redirecting our focus to the fact that we're consuming this food so that we can actually take in the nutrients. Because if we are in that stress state and we're not tapped in, we're going to be extracting all those, minerals and vitamins and things like that, which will be kind of a waste. You can take the most nutritious meal, and if you don't absorb it, it doesn't do our body any good.
Right. Yeah. So what other little hacks do you have around this topic? Top of mind?
Yeah. Okay. So I will, besides bringing that awareness and presence to what I'm doing, and sometimes I'll close because it's so easy to get distracted with all the things. I will also close my eyes so that I can actually go in and see what's going on. So I can taste my food. I might even put my hands on my belly. Mm-hmm. And I'll also recognize, am I breathing while I'm eating? Because there's also this kind of, inhaling our food that happens a lot too. So sometimes we're so focused on looking for the next bite while we're eating, as I'll put the fork or the spoon down. I'll literally put my hand in my lap, and I will just bring the direction to the chewing component and really taking in whatever I can. So as much as we can to allow, and if I'm talking to someone too, which is fine, you're having a social interaction, sitting in meals together. That's the most beautiful thing. I might also take a break for a moment from the eating, listen to what they're saying, tuning in, focusing on the breath, rubbing my belly. So I'm giving my body all the cues that I'm enjoying a meal for myself, with my loved ones. And I think the more we're in that, in Europe, we know how in Europe they really take their time. They sit down, in Italy or France, they may take an hour or 2 or 3 to have a meal. And their health is often better, and because they are allowing themselves to enjoy the food, and that does incredible health benefits and obviously raises the quality of our life.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. One of the things that I think is good to talk about in this realm of it's not what we eat, but how we eat is, the confusion around food. And even someone like myself who is very healthy, like my food is, very clean and all of that. And still the foods that I was eating were actually not good for me. And I've had to shift all of my food for a while. I'll be able to introduce a lot of that back in at some point, but my body wasn't liking those foods. So there can almost be this sense of like, well, they said it was okay. They said it was good for me, right? It's like, well, like taking all of what other people say and actually what is good for me. Like, yes, let's take that information. Oh, that is it. Okay, let me check that food out. But not taking it in as it's like someone else said it was good for them and it's green and it's this and it's that. It may not be okay for this body or for your body or for this season of your life in this moment in time. So what do you have to say about that?
I love it. That's so great. Now we're kind of going into the body, mind, wisdom, right? Mm-hmm. Because ultimately we know best. We know more than, because you're so right. The latest superfood, how many times I've been like, this is going to change my life. This is the answer. It's like, and if one of the beauties of the slowing down when we're eating is that we can say to ourselves, how does this feel in my body? And the more we can get tapped in, the more our body might say, or yeah, or hey, just a little bit's just right. And so I think having that dialogue with ourselves where we can continue to check in, because our body has so much intuitive wisdom and it's wanting us to hear it. And it's really a practice. It's training ourselves to listen. And even after we've had that meal or that snack or tried that little something, taking a moment to say, how did that feel in my system? I know that I used to do a lot of salads and raw things, and I have been entering more into just warming foods. I put my salad in my soup. Like I just, right. And I think I was so in my head about, I must eat this, all these vegetables and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't recognizing that, wait, I can tap in and recognize that actually I'm wanting more of this. And I think that what you're sharing is about recognizing that the answer is within us. And the more we allow ourselves to listen, the more our answers can come through. So I love that. And one of the hacks that when you were talking, I just have to bring it back up to what you were sharing is also just giving the food that we're eating some nice, juicy love, I mean, now before I eat, especially if I realize I'm in this kind of like rush, even if I can have that moment where I just kind of put my hands on I can visualize the light coming through, but just being like, thanks for giving me the nutrition I need. Thanks for giving me the nourishment. And sometimes even bringing that intention to whatever we're eating, even if it's a so-called naughty food, It's
More
like
so, right?
even
Even
more
more
so, right?
so.
It's like you can take a candy bar, that maybe you're like, I don't know if I should eat that, but you can take that and say, thank you. This is going to support and nourish my food. And if you can eat that yummy treat with the love and the respect that you have for your body, it's going to get digested and transformed in a whole other way.
I totally believe that. I believe that 100% because I can have one meal, like I can remember being so aware of that, of having this like pasta at home by myself and having so much remorse and anger at myself. And then having that same meal or, same type of meal out with a friend and having so much joy and conversation. And it just is like, God, did I even the same meal? Like it was a completely my body felt completely different. It digested it different. I felt different. I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel like, ugh. It's amazing when we have these experiences, and we can only guide, I guess, all of you to check that out and just check it out. See how it
Experiment.
goes.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, why not? I mean, to me, this is the best like food hack I can do, right? Is just in order to love myself is to love the food I'm eating and to recognize that it's so true though. I mean, often people on vacation, they're eating a lot of stuff they wouldn't allow themselves to eat when they're home. And a lot of people lose weight because they're happy, they're enjoying the food, they're letting it, the body is saying, sure, we'll digest you. So it's like that it's bringing the fun back into eating, whatever you is. And you also might find that when you have a craving, let's just say you say, okay, I'm really craving this food. I'm going to eat it, but you eat it in that place, you might find naturally you don't want to overeat it because the body's like, oh my God, I am satisfied. I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
That is a really good point. It's a really good point. We often I'll talk about like when we go in to when we're feeling guilty about something to not go into the shame. There's that pause. There's that moment to give space to compassion coming through. And what I'm hearing you say in that, I really want you all to get this, is like we have the craving, and then the craving is like it makes us jump into that instant gratification, but almost like something really like, ooh, I want that. Like, I don't know. There's something about like allowing that craving to be something yummy and not something bad, but it's that longing like for the lover to come through the door, right? And it's like, I cannot wait. And it's allowing ourselves to have that craving and pausing and allowing it. And then I don't know, check it out. Maybe that experience is different. Maybe there is more of that relaxation that Jess is talking about, or maybe there is that I don't actually need quite as much because I did pause enough to actually enjoy it in a certain way.
Yeah, is you can even create like a little ritual over something that you want. Let's say you're like, I really want to eat those chocolate covered almonds, right? And it's very tempting to just keep eating out of a bag,
Totally.
right? What if you create a little ritual? You say, okay, I'm going to put some in a bowl. I'm going to sit down, maybe even light a candle, but I'm going to really, I'm going to just take this and it's like this offering to my body, right? And again, you might find you put the amount you feel like you would be good for you to eat. And I have a feeling if you were to eat it like that and you don't get yourself guilty or anything like that, not that there's anything wrong with chocolate covered almonds, by the way.
Love them.
Nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is if there's something that there might be that shame, that component that you talked about, if you
Right.
can let that go, you're going to probably find that you're satisfied with that little amount that you put in that bowl and you feel good about it.
Great. Beautiful. I love that. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. I want to make sure that did you have anything else that was like a burning desire that felt like you wanted to talk about, or do we feel like we tapped on everything?
Thank you. I think the biggest thing I can impart is that we are here. We're here to have joy in this lifetime. And if you start beating yourself up, if you can shift that in one moment, in that moment where you're like, I'm beating myself up. All right, give yourself a little laugh and recognize, take a nice deep breath, do the ah breath, and just shift where you are in that moment and forgive yourself. So every time you go into that pattern, if that is the pattern that you have, just know that you can shift that in a moment and things are going to be different at that point on.
Yeah, it's so empowering when you have that moment too.
It's so empowering. When we catch ourselves, it's like, it's just bringing ourselves out. We all have our things. Trust me. It's like, we all have that. And the more we can just be forgiving of ourselves. And I mean, I literally will laugh at myself. Like I'll just laugh, even fake laugh, because that totally shifts how your body feels. And it shifts the whole moment for yourself. So,
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm like, really, Marla? Really? Okay. These moments of, do we need to do this? Do we need to go into this right now? I think it's helpful.
just laugh at yourself.
Oh. Okay. So everyone, I put Jessica's website in the link. I'll put it down even below so you all have it. You have an offering, you have like a little consultation. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So, if you're interested in shifting some things in your life and you're looking for support, I do offer a free Vibrant Life Breakthrough session. And in that session, we go through really what you want, what's blocking you in getting that, some different strategies that you can do, and seeing for a fit to move in that journey together. So on the website, in the contact page, you can, there's a link to a little questionnaire where you can fill that out and we can start a dialogue and go from there. I'd love to help support you.
Yay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jessica. It was so good to be here with you. So good to have you.
It was
And
so much fun. Thanks,
yeah, it
Marla.
was so much fun. Great. Everyone check Jessica out. She's fabulous, obviously.
I
All
love to get to know you all. Thank you,
right.
Marla.
Much love.